G'day everyone, Wednesday the 8th of October. Johnny, how you going?
Mate, couldn't be better. How you going, Hoodie?
I'm going well, mate. It's been a bit of a gap. We've had a gap for a few days in broadcasting, but this interview is going to be an absolute ripper. Senator Ron Johnson, and I think this is his third appearance on Club Grubbery. Great to have him back on.
Wow, it says a fair bit, doesn't it, when you can get a sitting US senator that's so well admired and loved in the US come onto a little old program in Australia three times.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And if we look a bit dodgy, it's because it's pretty early in the morning, and as we pre-record this interview. But Johnny, you're at home in Tumut, and I'm up in Early Beach at the moment. And Michelle and I are heading off to the Hinchinbrook Passage, towing the caravan up there in a couple of days, and we're going to be fishing with some good hoodies heroes, mates of ours, Rob and Shane. So we're looking forward to a bit of a break.
Yep, yep.
I'll catch you, Barra.
That'll be so much fun, Hoodie.
So what's been happening, Johnny, with things in Australia? It's quite interesting to see that Albanese has said he won't be appearing much in public anymore due to threats made against him.
Well, he's closed his office, Hoodie. I think it's been that's been in Marrickville for quite some years, and they've closed it up. I think the church that was near was really upset at the volume of protesters that were there, and I think it demonstrates that people are not happy with what's going on, Hoodie. But I think the threats are an excuse. Ultimately, I think we're a country that doesn't go down that pathway, but. I suppose as the Prime Minister, they take all these things seriously, but yeah, it's a joke, isn't it? When you can hide behind that as the head of state, and just get in your Airbus and head off for another trip.
Yeah, I mean, it's just obscene in a way because we've been saying for months and months now, John, that the reason these things are happening is because the government refuses to listen to the people. They don't read the room.
Mm,
And we're not a country where our leaders are threatened. The world is getting, crazier by the minute. We know that. We can understand that. Globalism has its drawbacks for sure. But this everything we do has got to be non-violent. It
mm,
just has to be non-violent. There's no need for violence. There's no need for threats to anybody. I mean, we've had our threats over the years, and life goes on. People have just got to calm down. But by the same token, this seems to be playing right into his hands, and it gives him another excuse to hide down and bunker down. And I mean, you've just got to face facts, Albanese, that you're not listening to the room, and a lot of the people are growing more and more unhappy every day.
mm,
And your support base is on the wane, and you can fix that by start listening to the people and taking some positive steps. They're sick of being taxed to death. They're sick of all the woke agendas that you're pushing. They're sick of being divided, and they want you to listen to them. So, for goodness sake, listen to the people, and that should be a warning to every politician. Listen to the people.
mm.
It's just nuts.
What's I can't believe, Woody, that they're not looking at what's going on in the UK. I mean, that's got to be a barometer for what's going to happen here. You look at
Mm.
this Keir Starmer over there. I mean, he's absolutely on the nose. Nigel Farage, he's a heartbeat away from being the Prime Minister.
Yeah, the
Uh,
sooner the better.
but it's just crazy, isn't it? That they can't read the room. I think you're right on that. They've got no understanding what normal foot traffic goes through.
And they're pushing this digital ID like there's no tomorrow. And we've seen already in the last 24 hours or so that MyGov has gone down, has been
Yeah.
hacked. I mean, the security around our digital ID is just non-existent. It's absolutely non-existent. We're racing ahead of ourselves. This is just absolute foolishness. And yet they keep persisting. They keep persisting and they're not listening again. So what's the latest on Keir Starmer? Because I've been out of the loop for a couple of days.
Well, I just from what I'm reading over there, it just appears as though he's getting more and more unpopular in polls. You know, there seems to be a number of MPs that are, you know, obviously becoming concerned, and who knows what'll happen over there. It's just, it is a basket case, isn't it? It's just, oh, I just hope it happens here, Woody. That's all I can say.
Yeah, that's right.
We need
That's
it to happen here, but look, you know, in there, in the UK, you've got Nigel Farage, and I mean, he's a real he's the real deal.
Yeah.
You know, we've had the pleasure of meeting him, but what have we got here? Um, I mean, even One Nation, you know, I'd like to think that, you know, we've got somebody who can do something. And look, I think Pauline's party appeals to lots of people, but not enough. Um, and until we do some sort of reforming here and everyone get in the same camp, and by that I mean, you know, One Nation and all the other movements get in get in the one office and sort out how we're going to move forward, I just don't see any viable option.
I was Michelle and I were having brekkie in Airlie Beach yesterday, and a lady came up and said that she was from Wagga and said g'day, and she went to the meeting with Jared Rennick the other night there. She said it was very well attended. He's getting a lot of traction,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
deservedly so. You know, I mean, he's saying all the right things for all the right reasons. So anyhow, a lot of questions will be answered, but of course, the questions we're most interested in the moment at the moment is those we'll be asking Senator Ron Johnson. So let's go to that interview now. As we welcome Senator Ron Johnson to Club Grubbery. Republican Senator from Wisconsin, Senator Ron Johnson. Welcome back to the program. We really appreciate your time this morning. I want to get straight into the first question we have for you, and that is the work that's being done by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., your Secretary of Health over there. Big announcements were promised in September. A lot of people were, I guess, kind of hoping that the mRNA platform was going to get the attention it deserved, but everything seemed to go towards Tylenol and paracetamol and the connection to autism, which is really very, very interesting news. How do you see your Secretary of Health progressing with the matters that are on the table in front of him at the moment? Because he really is pushing it, isn't he?
I'd say he's taking a very step-by-step approach. Uh, Science has been corrupted for quite some time. It's going to take a while to return credibility and integrity to science. We're going to have to do additional research. He's going to have to fund it. So I kind of view this. I know that a lot of people, are expecting just immediate change. It just doesn't happen that way. Again, it's a step-by-step approach. I think he's looking at what studies already exist, and there is information out there of a possible link between Tylenol, of certain vitamin deficiency. And so, that's opening up people's eyes. It's opening up the aperture. It's starting the conversation. It wasn't, you know, a year ago where you couldn't even ask the question, what's causing chronic illness? What's causing autism? Could there be environmental factors involved in this? Now I think everybody just assumes there are, and now we're going to search for them. And so again, I think as much as I'd like progress to be moving faster, we are making progress, and I think it's a good sign.
Senator, do you think what's the reaction been worldwide in relation to this? Because obviously Tylenol took front and center in relation to the autism, but there was mention of listening to the mothers. There was the 40 to 70% of mothers are saying that their babies have been injured by vaccines in anecdotal work that's been looked at. So, what's the reaction over there in the States and around the world?
Well, again, what Bobby Kennedy's up against are powerful interests. They've been here for decades. They'll never want to admit they were wrong. They've ignored COVID injection injuries for far too long. So they're not going to all of a sudden fess up. So this is going to have to be brought before the public. The public's eyes are going to have to be opened. Again, I think probably the most significant revelation there was that 40 to 70% of mothers, parents believe their child was injured by the vaccine. That opens people's eyes. I held a hearing on, voice of the vaccine injured. All these things are cumulative.
Mm.
And so the things you just simply can't deny. We had a Rasmussen poll here that more than 50% of the American public believe they know somebody who lost their lives because of the COVID injection. So, those of us who've been warning the public about these things, I think we can take some credit. But the fact of the matter is, people are witnessing this with their own eyes. And now that you have people like Bobby Kennedy, and credit to President Trump. Now, I thought his comments where he said, we're just pumping those beautiful little babies full of, like their horse. I mean, it's Trump's style, but it's very effective. It gets people to kind of wake up and recognize, yeah, does this make any sense? So I think we're making progress, and I'm hoping more and more people will be open to the fact. Again, I don't think Tylenol is the be-all, end-all answer. I don't think Bobby Kennedy thinks that. It may be one factor. Again, in the end, it may be multiple factors. Might be multiple insults to children, but I saw in one documentary, there's one thing that we know that's impacting people that we absolutely know is designed to impact the immune system. That's vaccines. Now, there may be some that impact the immune system beneficially. Why would we discount the fact that maybe, just maybe, when you're impacting, especially a little baby's immune system 50, 60, 70 times, maybe that's too many. Maybe it's not beneficial. Maybe it's actually harmful. So again, to me, it's obvious. It's been obvious since my eyes were opened up during COVID and my first conversation with Bobby Kennedy. The good news is once your eyes are open, you can't close them.
Just a supplementary on that, because I know it did. The president has been very strong on this. There's no doubt about it. I think that the language that he used, if you looked into that, the media were obviously, hand-picking, cherry-picking what they wanted to hear from it in relation to the Tylenol. But I mean, what do you say, Senator, about the uncomfortable look? And I could see it in the secretary's eyes when there was an announcement about with Pfizer. I mean, the CEO being in the Oval Office. I mean, that looked it looked a bit awkward.
Well, there are multiple goals. President Trump wants to bring down the cost of pharmaceutical drugs. Pfizer's a big pharmaceutical company, and so I guess you work with them, and you try to get them to make concessions. So again, I'm not there in the Oval Office. I'm not making these decisions, but at the same time, give President Trump credit. I know he is proud of Operation Warp Speed. I know he in his heart would like to believe that saved tens of millions of lives. Okay, maybe hundreds of millions of lives.
Yeah.
But the fact is, we now have the ACIP committee. They're asking some pretty tough questions. They're not getting adequate answers. It's for anybody following it, putting people like Pfizer and Moderna in a pretty tough spot here. They will keep pushing the envelope, and the president is still supporting Bobby Kennedy, not only in terms of childhood vaccines, which I believe that the president, in my own conversations with him, I think he certainly suspects childhood vaccines in terms of chronic illness and possibly autism. He's got an open mind, apparently, to the COVID injections as well, and I think that's a good thing.
That is a great thing. Senator, I was in the US in March of this year, and I had the privilege of appearing on stage with Charlie Kirk in Phoenix, Arizona. And I spent over an hour with him backstage having a really great conversation. I was drawn to the man, and it appears sadly that America does have a history of killing its brightest stars and snuffing them out. And the tragedy has been effective around the world in bringing people to faith and so many other issues. People are waking up to some things happening. How has the Charlie Kirk effect impacted the climate of life in the USA?
Well, first of all, martyrdom is a real thing.
Yeah.
It is not just in America; it's around the world. For literally the millennia. So Charlie Kirk was a martyr. He was an extraordinary young man. I met him pretty much right out of the blocks. I didn't realize he was that young. When I heard he died at the age of 31, I started doing the math and go, I met him when he was 18, 19 years old, and he was already developing this extraordinary organization with no experience. Obviously, very charismatic, very knowledgeable, highly articulate. And as you said, not only were you drawn to him, millions around the world were. And so, they may have snuffed his life out, but they're certainly not snuffing his message out. That's pretty much the reality of martyrs is their message grows louder, and it resonates more. And I think the most significant thing in America is, we had the George Floyd death, tragic death. We all
Yeah.
condemned it, but the result from the left was what they called peaceful protests. Hundreds, developed into riots. 2,000 law enforcement officials injured, a couple dozen people dead, billions of dollars worth of property damage. Versus when Charlie Kirk was martyred, the reaction was prayer vigils, and that
Yeah.
that difference speaks volumes in terms of what side is inciting political violence, what side is condoning it, versus the other side that wants to cling to basic principles,
Yeah.
Christian principles, the values,
Yeah.
love your neighbor.
Yeah.
Uh, Charlie Kirk's wife forgiving the assassin at his memorial. I mean, that is how people lead. That is how people learn, and that's the kind of example that leaders need to set.
Do you think it's polarized the US even more now? There's been a great division around the world between the woke left and what people term the extreme right. And even in Australia, the divisions are categorized by terminologies that we've never heard of before. And they seem to be, the forces that be seem to be wanting to create even greater division by amplifying all this stuff. Has it had that effect in the US?
Listen, we're horribly divided. We're horribly polarized. This didn't exacerbate the problem. I think if anything, it opened people's eyes, and maybe there may be a little bit more coming together.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think it made matters worse. I really don't. I think it has potential of making matters better.
Excellent response.
Senator, with the current agenda being carried forward with time running out in this term, how do you see things moving forward with the Republicans' return to power under a new president?
Well, what we have going for us is that the left is just bat you know what crazy. I mean, it is just it's not abandoning these incredibly unpopular positions.
Mm.
The whole issue of transgenderism about boys competing against our girls, biological males, and then invading their private spaces, their locker rooms, their bathrooms, their showers. I mean, it's a perverse viewpoint, and most people view it as perverse.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, with the radical left, they have the mainstream media that have normalized a lot of this. The open borders, the horrific murders and rapes, the drug trafficking, the sex trafficking. Most Americans don't support that, but the Democrats aren't backing away from it at all. And so I think that's probably an ace in the hole for America. Plus, President Trump, against the resistance of Democrat elected officials in these cities who apparently don't care about the safety of their own citizens, are resisting President Trump's offer to help. But he's doing it anyway because he's protecting federal law enforcement, federal property, and he's making those cities safer. And I think probably the people, whether they voted for him or not, in those cities, those Democrat governed cities for decades, are probably highly appreciative. I think that will possibly redound to the benefit of Republicans as well in the midterm. So, and now we've got obviously Chuck Schumer's shutdown here. People
Yeah.
do not like shutting down the government. I mean, I'm not a fan of government, but I think it's stupid to shut it down. So the House passed a pretty clean continuing resolution. They left town. We in the Senate keep voting for it. Republicans, Democrats keep voting it down. So it's very obvious who wants this shutdown, who's playing politics with people's lives. So I mean, I just don't see anything the Democrats are doing anything smart politically.
Mm.
How close are you to resolution on the shutdown?
Well, so the latest rumor, I think we voted 5 times now to just on the House bill to open the government. Democrats have voted it down. We've had 3 members that caucus with them vote with us. So we need, I think, another 5 more, 4 or 5 more. Um, but we're hearing there's going to be a no kings protest on Sunday. Assuming Donald Trump's a king, we can't have kings in America. So we're kind of hearing rumors the Democrats don't think they can back down till after that what I'm sure they'll all term peaceful protest no matter what happens. But I can't tell. I've got to believe the pressure is developing on them because they are being blamed for this because they should be blamed for it.
Yeah.
Pretty soon, soldiers will miss their first paycheck. Uh, the some nutrition programs are running out for mothers and their infants for just general the nutritional supplement programs, that type of thing. So uh, pressure is going to mount on the Democrats who are currently being blamed for the shutdown.
Yeah, it's a bizarre situation to observe from over here. And I want to get to President Trump's visit to the UN because it seems in Australia, and I'm sure in most other Western countries around the world, President Trump is seen as a bit of a pariah. His visit to the United Kingdom clearly put Keir Starmer on the back foot, as it did many politicians in the UK. And in Australia, it seems like the Trump administration, if it was a person, is being treated like a conspiracy theorist. And it's interesting to see how the media play that. His visit to the UN was a real sock in the eye for a lot of the globalists who are watching these things. How would you summarize that visit to the UN?
I often call myself sort of the kid who said the emperor has no clothes inside our conference. President Trump is that globally. I mean, he goes in the UN and he says what people acknowledge, but they're just afraid to say it. So he
Yeah.
goes in the UN and says, "What are you guys doing for peace?" I've helped bring to conclusion a number of these conflicts around the world. You guys don't call, you don't write, you don't offer any assistance. You're pretty well worthless. Other than you taking up some prime real estate in New York, you're costing the world a bundle. You're run by the global tyrants. What good is the UN? And I think most level-headed people take a look at the UN and go, it's a pretty accurate assessment. When have they stopped conflict?
Yeah.
When they have all these different, sub little groups on human rights run by the worst human rights abusers, I mean, the organization is a joke. And so Trump goes in there and he just tells it like it is in his very unique way. And again, that's why people love him. It's also why people hate him.
Mm. Senator, we've been sharing a Facebook post of you exposing corruption from the previous administration. Can you fill us in a bit more about that?
Oh, well, the most recent revelation is that 8 senators and 1 House member had their phone records taken by the FBI or extracted from the phone companies. This was done, kind of circumvented the normal process for reviewing such a serious constitutional breach of our separation of powers. But prior to that, in August of 2020, when Senator Grassley and I were investigating Hunter Biden and his laptop and all of his business dealings, and we also had an unsolicited briefing by the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force. It was mainly meant to drive us off the trail. And it was leaked later on in the media in May of 2021 to smear me to impact my election. So again, the point I'm making is the FBI has been a corrupt entity. It has been run by left-leaning partisans. Many of them remain in there, burrowed in. They're certainly not coming clean. And they have had a greater impact. Partisans of the FBI, Department of Justice, people like James Brennan, or John Brennan and James Clapper, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, I mean, all these cast of characters, James Comey, when you take a look at the destruction that they have wrought within the body politic of America, our political system, China and Russia could only dream of having a fraction of the destructive impact of that group of people that were serving and supporting of President Obama and President Biden. A bunch of radical leftists. Again, radical left ideology, it doesn't build anything. It doesn't do any good. It destroys nations. It steals your freedom. I just wish more people around the world would wake up to that reality and stop voting for people that sound good, but they've got an ideology that's just basically destructive.
How do you see Kash Patel playing out in the leadership role in the FBI? Is he gaining some traction? That must be a very difficult job.
Well, let me describe how difficult it is. So you had a bunch of leftists in those Department of Justice, FBI that quit because they simply couldn't serve President Trump, right? Then there were some leftists that the Trump administration had to terminate. They're still terminating them. The problem is there's still a bunch of leftists that are burrowed in, the permanent deep state actors, and because of the lawfare that the left is engaged in, not just against President Trump. We've got a high integrity judge who served for 2 months defending President Trump in his the election dispute. Very honorable, very high integrity. He is being destroyed through lawfare by our Wisconsin Democrat Attorney General. So it doesn't take very many people like Judge Troupas to be persecuted that way, virtually bankrupt through lawfare, Donald Trump, before other people take a look at that and go, I sure would love to serve President Trump, but I don't know. Do I want to give up my career? I got student loans I have to pay off. I think I'll just remain in private practice. So Kash Patel, Pam Bondi are having a real difficult time filling out the open positions. The people that we need in Congress to get into the FBI records and find some of these documents that just prove corruption. So again, the deep state is deep, it's pervasive. It does not give up its secrets easily, no matter who is the president of the United States.
Look, it's these are very, very dramatic times, and it appears governments are becoming more and more powerful, and people are more afraid of governments than they should be, and the government should be afraid of the people. You're clearly a libertarian. Do you see that kind of smaller government ever coming to fruition, or are we just stuck with what we've got?
Okay, you blanked out a little bit, so you want to quick summarize your question again?
I think it's pretty clear that you're in favour of smaller government, and that makes you a libertarian, I guess, in so many ways. Do you see that gaining traction in the future as people become more and more aware of how pervasive government has become?
Oh, I wish it would. The problem is, and this is globally, people love the benefits that government bestows on them. They listen to the siren song minority. Yeah, most Americans, they love their free money from the federal government. We don't have an education system or a news media that connects the dots, that this massive deficit spending creates inflation, devalues the currency, makes things more expensive. So you just can't even keep up based on your increase in wages. So again, we don't teach economics, not in our education system, not in our news media. So again, I wish people realized, take a look at the situation. Couple numbers. In 1930, almost 100 years ago, the federal government consumed about 3.5% of the American economy. 3.5. Today, it's approaching 25%. The high water mark was 24.4% under Barack Obama. Is it working? I grew up in the 50s. I'm glad I did. It was a wonderful time. You felt safe. You didn't feel threatened all over the place. You could go into some of these big cities, and New York was, a wonderful place to go. Not a place that you'd be threatened or where a Ukrainian immigrant would have her throat slashed on the subway. So you have to look at the U.S. and go, are we better off? Are we more cohesive as a society? What is civil discourse like? So on many, what's our education system like? Our education metrics are tanking. So all this big government it's not improving people's lives. It's not improving society from my standpoint. It's just mortgaging our children's future. So again, I blame big government. I think the root cause literally is the size, scope, and cost of government. It's influence on our lives. It's negative influence on our lives and on society. But unfortunately, people want to believe that all it takes is just more spending. Everything's going to be coming up roses. It's just not true.
Well, I know you've got to go to a vote. Sorry, John, you're about
Oh,
to
I
ask
was just
something?
going to quickly say, Senator, the Moderna factory in Australia, one of the greatest things that President Trump has just done is imposing a 100% tariff on pharmaceuticals. And this Moderna factory that's been, well, two of them actually in Australia that have been funded by the Australian government to make mRNA platform drugs. Let's hope that they end up going out of business. And I don't want to create an international incident here, Senator, but if you get a chance, if you run into the president in the lunchroom, maybe you could just let him know that our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, is worse than any of those types, those Godzillas that he was speaking to at the UN. He's more left than he would put a windmill on every hill if he could. He will destroy this country. He's going about it systematically. So if he gets a chance to take him down in the Oval Office, he's got our full support.
I'll pass along, but I will say on the mRNA technology, it could be a promising technology if properly used. But properly used would probably be somebody who has terminal cancer, and this could be, a targeted therapy to those particular cells. They never perfected that for cancer. It always failed in those trials. The fact that they unleash this on the entire population, and of course, they're unleashing it in veterinary populations, that kind of stuff as well. So, again, we need to keep raising the alarm bells in terms of be concerned about this particular platform. We need a lot more research, and we need high credibility, high integrity research, which I don't think we've had so far.
Well, we know you've got to race off to another vote, Senator. We do appreciate your time. I would just want to close with a prayer, if that's okay with you.
I'd appreciate it.
Dear Lord Father in heaven, we thank you for the time that had been allocated to us to speak to a man who's clearly has the interests of the people at heart. Lord, we pray that you strengthen him. We pray that he is effective in the work that he's doing and also that he is safe. Father God, as we approach the complexities and perplexities of the world we're living in, may you guide and lead us in the way of Jesus. We ask in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you much.
God
You
bless
guys
you,
stay well.
Senator Johnson.
God bless you guys. Take care.
Thank you for your time. Bye-bye. Well, there
Wow.
we have it, John. Senator Ron Johnson, and I apologise. There may have been a glitch in the internet during that interview, and I hope it didn't affect too much. I don't think we lost too much.
No, it was only a few seconds, Woody. Yeah.
So, what were your thoughts on that interview, mate?
Well, once again, he's very honest, he's very upfront, and you can tell that he's motivated to not only serve the American people but to do right in the world. I think he's one of these beacons of hope. He's always there or thereabouts, calling out nonsense and woke agendas, and but he's very sensible, and you can see that in what he does, and the conversations we've had with him. I think he's a beautiful man and a man of integrity, and I'm just so glad that he's in there and able to support the president doing some of this great work.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall here in Australia if you ever came here and sat down and had a beer with John Ruddock.
Yeah, they'd get on well, I think.
They would. They'd get on really well. Anyway, Johnny, we must away. And to everybody watching, we're sorry about the disjointed schedule that we're running on at the moment. We're not going anywhere, but we all need a bit of a break. And Michelle and I are doing that at this end. Johnny's still working tirelessly at the other end, keeping content up. And we will be coming at you once or twice a week over the next month, and then full bottle again back in November. But Johnny, is always great to have you on, mate. And we keep plodding on.
Keep plodding on, Hoodie. We do.
Anthony Albanese, we'd love to have you on the program.
Don't think he's
We
going to.
promise you'll be okay. You'll be all right, Albo. It's okay. You're there.
All
Don't
right.
worry, it's okay. And we go back to what we said pre the interview, John. I mean, listen to the people, for goodness sake. It's not that hard. Just hear their concerns and address them, and stop hiding and stop running away and stop hiding behind rainbow flags and welcome to country and all that other rubbish. Just let's get on with the country's business. Well, this was a very strong internet connection the last few days, and for some reason today it's dropped right out. So there you go. You've often been heard to say,
You just couldn't make this stuff up.
You couldn't make this stuff up. Sorry about the technical glitches. We do what we can, and you know what? It's a great country. Please don't resort to violence. There's no need for threats. There's no need for violence. If we can't return to peaceful discourse in this country, then we're going down the road that the left want us to go down. They want us all to be violent. Johnny, interesting. The other day there was a survey done about generational shift in, I think it was the US. In days gone by, like in our generation, conflicts were solved by negotiation and conversation, and now people are quite happy to kill anyone they don't agree with, and that's really frightening. The findings of that survey were very, very frightening. So let's not go down that road, everybody. Let's keep it peaceful. Love you, Johnny. Great to share a screen with you again, mate. And stay out of the trees, everyone. We'll see you on Club Grubbery in a few days. Bye for now.
Thanks, guys.